pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Looking at the audience, I assume there is no public comment. Have anything to say? No? Come on. Approval of the previous minutes. June, you had something?
Yeah, under the report on the center, the history meetings are Monday, the fourth Mondays. And under my comment on schools, I said I approve of and think everyone should go to school, but I didn't say I always vote for it. Thank you, June.
Okay, anybody else have any comment on the
I did
minutes?
have one thing too, also. It was the commissioner of the Department of Social Services looking for people to serve on, there are actually three different subcommittees for chemical dependency. Do you want to know what they all are? No, okay. Yeah, well, you said a committee, or a different committee, I don't know. There were three different committees. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, January 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Communications. Top of my list for communications is that we are 99% of the way of putting our meetings on YouTube, as the village has been doing for quite some time. So this meeting probably will be on YouTube within the next few days. Right? And then thereafter, we'll probably have them all on YouTube.
Yes, there'll be a link on the website on the town. And then I'll post the link Facebook when it's ready.
Good.
Which is so good, because so many people have DirecTV. So many people have given up Time Warner, that this is really excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Well done.
From my understanding,
Yes,
if you don't have Time Warner.
right,
Okay.
right. Because this is a cable thing, and so the only cable we have in town is Time Warner. Hey, I got a letter from Albany or whatever have you, and the governor announced his municipal restructuring fund. I think that is basically what the village is doing with the consolidation grant that they received. There are two, information programs that we'll be able to tune into. And Kelly, you hooked us up with the, one's on the 11th, it's a webinar, by the way. One's on the 11th and one is on the 18th. Kelly and I will be watching the one on the 11th. It's an hour, and just to see what we can learn. And again, I'm pretty sure this is what the village is doing. There was another interesting thing where the governor somehow has $20 million that he wants to invest into one entity for consolidation. I can't imagine that happening, but maybe some Port Jervis not becoming a city and joining in with something or whatever have you, but $20 million for one entity is an amazing amount of money. I have an invitation to the Mid-Hudson St. Patrick's Day Parade. They have a mass at 9 a.m. They have a breakfast at 10:30 a.m. and then the parade starts. The lineup starts between 1 and 1:30. So if anybody is interested in going, I have the registration form.
Where is that, Bob?
That parade is in Goshen.
Oh.
The Grand Marshal's breakfast is at the Coles Highland House in Middletown. Mass is in Middletown. So I have it, if anybody who's interested in going. You have to register to go. Our payments mailed out for this period was a total of $165,432.07. The major expenditures was CLG Insurance, $89,694.90. Landfill, $24,833. And MVP Healthcare, $20,592. We have one budget transfer, which is $195 from zoning personal salaries to zoning legal. Zoning legal expenses were higher than budgeted. That's for 2015?
Yes.
Motion
So moved.
approved. Second by?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, board liaison reports. Bill?
We had our first really formal consolidation committee meeting on the 27th. It was pretty much getting to know the consultants. They had us fill out little questionnaires about what our concerns and hopes were for the process, and we set the next meeting will be on the 11th, and there'll be a community meeting, I believe, in this room on the 18th. So I'll be requesting the public to turn out and give us. Get
So
very
February 18th or March 18th?
Excuse me?
February or March 18th? February.
February.
I'm sorry.
I just I had emailed the supervisor, and I brought in a copy of an advertisement that West Point, or it's kind of vague who put it in. I only assume it's Malcolm Beatty, Malford Beatty, excuse me. But it wasn't clear on the ad that they are opening up the post to private non-military personnel. Big quarter-page ad in the Times Herald Record. So I'm aware that Cornwall is very concerned about this. I personally am concerned about it. Jess and I were just before this just talking to Jeannie briefly, so she has a copy of it. I think she might make a innocent inquiry into it tomorrow. Get more details, and I know that James Scoofus's office is aware of it, and
I think Gillibrand's office is also. It just seems to me like they're not filling up their housing as anticipated, and therefore they're looking to fund it through civilians, which a number of entities on West Point do, such as the golf course and the ski slope. And us old soldiers, Ty, we can remember back 30 years or more ago, that the only way you could live off post is if there was no housing on post. And apparently that's not true anymore. And I mean, if I could live off post and get a $2,000 stipend and pay $1,000 a month rent, that's the way I'm going. And it doesn't make it right and doesn't make it wrong. It just, that's what's going on up there. They just can't fill their housing. Right, us old soldiers know that, right?
So the issue becomes, as Bill and I and Jean were discussing, whether there should be a real property tax implication, and there
That's where we're going.
likely
yes.
should be.
Yeah.
So we'll look into that.
Good. Excellent.
just talking to council once again about double poles, and he's into that.
Like you said, you're having lunch with the.
Happen to be having a lunch with the
That's good. You can- that
supervisor
could be one of your
of
subjects.
Wallkill, so we'll look into that issue, yes.
Excellent.
We're not alone.
Yeah. Ty?
Yes, got a few updates here for recreation. Started had a successful start to the introduction to boxing program. Mr. Mark is doing an exceptional job putting in new programs, one of which is a boxing program. At 18 kids short. Also, he started his registration for baseball. This year through advertising, and so really expecting a big turnout. He's going to talk later about this recreation aid we've discussed in the previous meeting. Advertisement is out. He's going to talk more in detail about that. And then I'd like also the couple of things that for summer we're looking for 4 or 5 months out to the summer where they're going to be summer camps for the youth. He's working with Camp Invention and has a preliminary plan to be able to bring and I can't say enough about his initiative and the things that's going on. The feedback from the community is great. That's all I have.
I attended the chamber meeting on the 29th of January. Their next one is going to be March the 4th, but there was a great attendance at that chamber meeting, and the new president seems to be very good at organizing and making things happen, and it just seemed as though there was a lot of enthusiasm. Hopefully, and Lynn Etzel's there also, representing her business, but also she's a good representative from the town. So that was very positive. The police department bought that lighted paddle, and our street crossing, school crossing guard is using it. And the chief has not heard back from DOT yet, but he's keeping on top of that. March the 2nd, we're going to have another hazard mitigation meeting with the county to be part of their plan, which we've been going all along, but there's another meeting. And Mr. King, if you're available Thursday at 1 o'clock, there's an interview at the police department. Everyone's invited, but I know you guys work and, so if you're around, that would be good.
Okay, I appreciate that. I put that on the calendar. We'll talk after.
Good. But I still want to talk to you after.
Figured you did.
You're good? Okay. To piggyback off of what June was talking about with the chamber meeting, I didn't attend, but I have also heard really positive things about it. And there's a number of new businesses going in the village, which I'm really excited about. But one of them, I just wanted to give a little shout out. I know Councilman King has sampled their goods, but the Pied Piper Pies shop, if you have not been there, you have to check it out. It's fantastic. So just a little shout out to them. I was very impressed with their products. So, anywho, I wanted to just mention a couple of things. I have had the honor of being asked to join the board of directors for the center, and so I will be using this couple moments to, please indulge me while I make a few announcements on their behalf. We are still looking for volunteers. I believe I announced that at the last meeting. To fill in some drop-in hours that are available. We're just looking for like a 3-hour commitment a month. So if anyone is available during the day, I think the day we're looking for is Thursdays from like 3 to 5, 2 to 5, in that vicinity. But you could contact myself or Ann Molina or anyone involved with the center to find out more about that if anyone is interested. So we are looking for, like I said, volunteers. Also, if anyone is interested in working on PR for the center, we did have our meeting last week, and I'm afraid it was myself and Ann. So I asked anybody who wanted to come, but I didn't. No one took me up on my offer. So if anyone is interested in getting involved with the center, please reach out. We would love to have you. And there's many events going on at the center. You can drop by and find out what they are. Check out the Facebook page. Be on the lookout. There's lots of stuff going on. So I'll mention that. And then one other thing I wanted to mention. I get emails from a group it's mostly Orange County, but there was a group called Fair Funding for Our Schools that I used to, they have events from time to time that I have attended in the past. And their primary goal is working on repealing the GEA, the Gap Elimination Adjustment, which has affected school funding. And I received an email a couple of weeks ago with a sample form letter that anyone could use to send to their assemblyman, state senator, encouraging them to work on getting rid of this and standing up for the funding for our schools. And so, it's just a real easy way to let your voice be heard when, because I think sometimes it's daunting when someone says, write your congressperson, write your assembly person, and they don't know what to say. So it's always nice when you get a script provided to you. So I happen to have that. That was emailed to me. I would be happy to send it off to anyone else if they were interested in signing their name to it and sending it off to our representatives to encourage them to continue fighting for our schools. And March 12th, the Parents Club of the Center is having their Recognizing Excellence Luncheon at Richie's Little Place at 11:30. That's another thing that you can get tickets for through the center. And honoring the school music department at the Highland Falls Intermediate School, along with some students who are yet to be named. So that's everything for me for today. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could, she's reminded me of something. As I was out also at Piper Pies, really enjoying that atmosphere there, ran into a young man of high school age, probably around 15 or 16 or so. And I was familiar with the young man from 7, 8, 9 months ago when he'd been in a little bit of trouble at school. And talking to him, though, and spending a little time, we played a little chess, spending a little time with him, it took me back to, again, the importance of everything that Mr. Falk is putting together. Because when we look at these youth who are at risk, if there is, and I'm sure there are a bunch of programs that I'm just not aware of at this time, but still, we can capture those young people and get them involved in these recreational programs, then hopefully it'll keep them on the right track. That goes along with the fact that we need good coaches and volunteers to help make that successful. Now, one of the things that is the new initiative of Mr. Falk there is to really be thorough on these background checks for volunteers and coaches, because we got to make sure that we got the right people around it. So again, the big picture is healthy community equals healthy youth, along with other things. And so, again, keep doing what you're doing, because it's very important.
I'll speak on that a little.
Since we're talking rec, every once in a while I hear rumblings from the street, from the outside, and what have you. And the question that's been coming up is with this assistant. I mentioned this to you today with this assistant, his assistant in recreation. And the question is, Jimmy did it 30 years and he didn't have an assistant. But Jimmy did a marvelous job for 30 years. He put 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night in. We knew that when we did the budget. We knew what kind of time Jimmy put in, and we knew that most likely the new recreation director, as dedicated as you are, and you are certainly dedicated, probably is not going to put that kind of time in. So what we did is we took Jimmy's wage, his yearly salary, and looked at the new recreation director and an assistant. If we hire an assistant, which I'm assuming we probably will, recreation director's salary and the new assistant's salary will not equal Jimmy's salary. So the question was put to me, where are you getting that money from? Well, the money is in the budget. We anticipated it. We did a good budget, and we kind of anticipated what would happen. So the money is there. It's not costing the taxpayers anything extra. And with the new programs that you're putting in, you're going to need some assistance. You absolutely are. So job. Keep up the good job.
Can I add one more thing? I just got a very important announcement. On February 11th, Thursday, from 10 a.m. to 11:30, Sergeant Sanders Matthews is going to be speaking at James I. O'Neill High School for a question and answer period. And if people are unfamiliar with who he is, he happens to be the last living Buffalo soldier who was stationed at West Point. So Sergeant Matthews is going to be giving a presentation. There is a snow date for Friday, the 12th, but I don't
was
think
the
that'll
date
be
again?
necessary. It's this
The
Thursday,
11th.
or this Thursday?
Yes,
The
this
11th.
Thursday, yes.
From 10 to 11:30.
I just received in today's mail from the school an invitation.
Awesome.
I have the contact numbers if you're going to go, because I think probably they'd like to sit the town board somewhere
That'd be fantastic.
prominent, so I plan on going. We're going to go downstairs tonight after this meeting for a very quick executive session, and I'll do some copies and give them to you. I meant to bring it up, but I forgot.
So I'm assuming that's part of the Black History Month program. Is
I would assume so.
that right? Okay.
Okay. Getting into the agenda. We set fees for dumpsters, garbage cans, et cetera, at one of our previous meetings, but Pat didn't realize he has two clients that have 3-yard dumpsters, and we don't have a fee schedule for 3-yard dumpsters. So we're not increasing fees or anything like that, we're just adding a fee for 3-yard dumpsters. At once-a-week pickup is $41.50, which equals $261 every 6 months. So I'll just ask for a motion to include this fee into our fee schedule for sanitation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
So carried. Now, June Patterson. Yes. The next thing here, could you explain to us what you found out on this in the
I found out that the price that I thought it was is not, because we have to pay the prevailing wage. So it was the 5,800, I don't have it in front of me.
5879, yeah?
That is the actual cost to the town, not the 3,000 and change.
Where we thought it was going to be
Correct.
3,000.
thought it said right in the quote.
That's
Yes,
what I
it's,
said.
Right on the front.
I think
It did
that's,
say on the quote, right? Or-
yes, yeah, I got it.
Then
right
they
here.
came back and said it's not.
He said that their quotes cannot differentiate between municipalities and non-municipalities. So we're responsible for the one that has the daily wage on it. That was my tip.
What's the adder?
Well, it would bring it from 5879, well, it would bring it to 5879, which would be almost double the 3,000.
Table it, or?
Yes, we can,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I need a motion to table.
Motion to table it.
Okay, Bill seconded it, I'm sure.
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, recreation program fee raises. I hope you kind of did your homework a bit. I did, and actually, I said at the last meeting that I look at the town of Highlands taxes, and comparatively to a lot of places, they're substantially high. With no business operating in town and what have you, our taxes are going to stay high because there's nothing we can do other than to pull taxes off the residential areas. So the fact that we have some prices that may be much cheaper or cheaper than other places doesn't impress me that much. I'd kind of like to see, this is on my end, I would kind of like to see some of our fees either stay the same or not increase as much as Recreation Director suggested. I have no problem with going from $23 to a child to $25 a child. I mean, that's kind of like, where do we ever get 23 from? But on a couple of them, we're going from $23 to $35 a child, on a number of them. And I think the main one that I would maybe have a problem is the old fee for summer youth program was $60, and the suggestion is $100 a child. At $100, I do realize that's a bargain. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Town of New Windsor gets $280, Newburgh gets $120 a week, and we're getting $60 for the program. So that basically is dirt cheap, but again, if we can hold these fees down to the people in town, I'd like to see it that way, but that's my opinion, that's the way I feel, and I absolutely would like to hear from the rest of the town board.
I'd love to chime in. Can I jump in?
Jump right in, yes.
I have no problem with the fee raises. I think we undercharge. What I know what I pay for activities for my child for in other areas, for other programs, are astronomical. I mean, compared to the fees that we've had in place. So I mean, I think $35 is reasonable for the programs. I did want to make mention, it was brought up to me that in the past, some of the programs, like it would be $23, but $8 of that was for a shirt. So if they already had the shirt, they were actually only paying $15. So you might want to take that into consideration, because a few parents said to me, well, we already have the shirt. Why do we have to pay, that portion of it was taken out. So I wanted to mention that to you, that you might want to factor that in. Somebody else also said, and we don't even get trophies. So I don't know, we can get some, cost-effective trophies to throw in there and sweeten the deal. I don't know.
I think it's
It's like, yeah, I agree. I just throwing out what I've heard. But as far as I'm concerned, especially with the summer program, I think $100 is such a bargain. I mean, I've paid upwards of $300 a week to send my daughter to different programs over the years. I think we offer a tremendous amount for that price. So, and we make accommodations for people who qualify for reduced and free lunch. So that's always on the table. So if you do have a financial hardship, it's never been a flat fee, regardless of circumstance. We've always taken into consideration circumstance. So if we continue to do that, I really have no problem with that's my piece.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, he's briefed me on the plan, and he's done the due diligence to do comparative analysis of other communities in order to raise the quality of the programs, in order to be able to fund some of the other things that go along with programs, whether it be equipment or trophies. It's the right call. So my opinion is that I'm going to vote yes for it whenever you ask me.
Okay.
Okay, Bill?
I just think we're in trouble in the A fund, and we need money wherever we can get it for. And yeah, it's ridiculously low, the amount we're asking for now. It's just afraid we're going to have to go further. And I would.
You?
I don't think the fees are being raised exorbitantly, and we're talking about $100 for the first child, only $75 for each other additional child, and you're talking about like a 4 or 5 week program? 7-week program that $100 covers.
Also, to add on to what Adrian said, we've never had and we never will tourniquet away because of financial circumstances. So that'll always be taken.
Yeah, it doesn't say about the shirts in here, so you will.
I'll go back
Just-
and revisit that, but it was gonna be a flat fee, but we can always go back and adjust that.
Any other discussion? I want to put a motion on the floor?
I'll make the motion. Is that what I say?
We accept the fee schedule as presented by the Recreation Director.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll be opposed only because I spoke in opposition. Yes, sir.
Are we going back to the department head report thing? I know we're on recreation now, but that part. I had some recreation things.
No, I'm glad you reminded me, yes, and Kelly gets mad at me every once in a while, too, because I skip over her. All right, yes. Yes, sure.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Aaron Falk, Recreation Director. I just wanted to touch on a few things Mr. King already brought up. Boxing, huge turnout. 18 kids that signed up. We had 2 more at the last minute, so we're up to 20 kids. I have pictures that I'll send out to you guys if you want to see them. It's
Awesome.
really, kids were excited. The instructor was excited, so it turned out to be really good. Spring baseball, like he said, is with the increased advertisement with social media and West Point. A lot of West Point families didn't know we offered some of the programs that we offered. So by reaching out to them and getting our flyers into their buildings, I think we're going to have a pretty good year. Camp Invention, Mr. King brought up, is a science and technology camp. I'm looking to increase things for people who don't play sports, and I ran into this by accident, called them, and it's basically one of those things that we don't have to pay any money for up front, but if we get a certain amount of kids who pay for it, then we just have to give them a check for the money we receive. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. I'm looking at doing it June 27th to July 1st. It's after school ends, but before the rec program starts in the summer. So that's kind of the only time we could.
Where would that be held?
Sacred Heart. I talked to Father Joe. He's going to let us use the classrooms in the gymnasium for lunch and all the activities. So one other thing, one of the few other things, lacrosse program.
You know how much that runs?
It's going to be between 125 and 150. We need a minimum of 35 kids, which is why I'm going to advertise it to West Point, because I think we can get a lot of their population in there and then supplement, with the kids that
The age groups.
K through 6th grade.
You might even want to get Phillips down and
Yeah,
Cornwall.
I'm going to send. Well, the other thing I was going to do was it was whatever the minimum is, 125 to 150 for our residents, and then open it up to non-residents for like $200. And that way, hopefully, we can make up some of that revenue from people who are coming from out of town. The other thing regarding money for camps, me and Kelly got the paperwork filled out. Kelly got the paperwork filled out. And it was sent back into DSS. So hopefully, as of next week, we'll be a vendor for the Department of Social Services and be able to bill DSS for youth that are already in the SNAP program or
TA, temporary.
assistance. So the kids that we would be giving free programming for anyway, we would now be able to bill for it.
Get reimbursed.
Summer program, Camp Invention, I think even some of the sports programs, things like that, like I said, we wouldn't normally be collecting revenue from because of the financial thing, would now be able to bill for it. I'm also coordinating with the youth advocacy program out of Newburgh. As Mr. King said, we have a lot of at-risk teens that aren't yet transitioning to being in the system as far as residential treatment centers for behavioral or psychiatric, coordinating those kids with people in the community that could be mentors. And they're actually paying these people, so it's actually a win-win for our residents who, $11 or $12 an hour to work with at-risk kids, and working through me to find volunteer stuff for them to do within our program. Let me go back, lacrosse program. April into May, we're looking to do a 6 to 8 week lacrosse program. We have a donor that's going to purchase everything that we need, equipment, whatever it takes to start a program that I have no idea how to run, but we're going to try our hardest to do it. So that's going to be another free program that we can offer to the community because of this guy that's going to purchase all this stuff. So one last thing. Kelly introduced me to our insurance guy last week, and we visited a lot of the facilities. One of the things he suggested that we needed to do, or that we should do, is background checks for coaches, volunteers, anyone in the program. From a liability standpoint, if something happens, we need to show that we have a process to screen people. To me, it's more than liability. I think without blaming who didn't do what to stop something, I think it's a good thing to have, because there's always going to be someone that, for example, I had somebody approach me a couple weeks ago about volunteering to coach basketball. We already had our coaches set, so it wasn't, we didn't need him, but I thanked him. If anything comes up, I'll let you know. He ended up getting arrested and having a rap sheet from here to Florida. I'm not serious. And, it's one of those things that, as well as I knew him, I didn't know that. And had we put him on a field with our kids, something happens, at the end of the day, is, we're liable for it. So I did some research on some different accredited companies that do background checks, and I actually have some information I'll pass to you guys. It's basically, it's a very simple process. It's actually paperless. We send them a link. They fill out a couple of, quick personal information. It digitally gets sent to us, and then we forward it to them. And within 48 hours, they have a history on not only criminal, but sexual database.
Sex offender
sex
registry.
offender registry. Yeah, that's it. So besides the liability issue, I think it's just a great way that we can protect the kids that we're putting on the field to teach. So the bundle that they're recommending for us because of our population is this bundle number 2. It's like $199 for the year. And it's like $7.50 for every check they do. If we didn't have a subscription, we end up paying like $15.75 per background check. Again, I don't know if that's the way we want to go. I'm not sure if our police department can do background checks or whether they're as thorough as what these guys do. But it's just something I wanted to throw out to you guys, take a look at, and give me your recommendations.
Good, sounds good.
And that's it. Oh. Sorry.
No, this is a great idea, because you can't you can't volunteer in the school without having a background check. You can't do anything without it, and it never occurred to me.
And
So
besides doing background checks for our programs, we could use that for employment for town hall too.
Right.
So if anyone we hire, we need to do anything, we could run it through them. And as Mr. King said earlier, the recreation aid position will be in the paper this week. Again, not so I can do less, it's so we can do more. Thank you.
Very good.
Kelly, did you have anything?
I did have a couple of things.
All
I
right.
just wanted to mention that the state AUD is due March 31st, so I'll start working on that and sending out updates to you by week progress that I made. And our audit is scheduled for the first week in April, so it's a busy time of the year. Now that the YouTube thing is behind me, that's
Very good.
that's it.
Okay, we have a vacant Recreation Advisory Committee position. I did get a letter from Vanessa Jackson. Venetia, okay. Venetia, okay. She all right with you? All
I
right.
think she would be a great addition to I think the committee now, very, diverse, a lot of demographics from the town are represented, and I think
Concur.
The only thing, and I'm not sure how this works out, but in the email I have here, she's also wants to be considered for the recreation assistant. I don't know if the two jobs would be conflicting.
I don't know either.
How do you feel?
I think it'd probably be my recommendation that she make a decision on which one she really wants to do, because in my opinion, it'd be preferable to have two different people.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but
How soon are we filling the assistant position, like a month, 2 months?
I was gonna say in the next month or two, so my suggestion would be to, and if she, I don't know if she has to,
but she could resign from it.
I was gonna
That's
say she
simple.
has to resign if we accept to hire her, and then she could resign, or resign when she puts.
Yeah,
application
good
in.
idea.
That works.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I would think if she's hired, she would have to resign, not prior to.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
All right, so I'll ask for a motion to appoint Venetia Jackson to the Recreation Advisory Committee for a term of 1 year.
So moved.
I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, the proposed agreement to, another amendment to our water contract with the village. I put it. Anyway, I gave it to Justin to look at and make whatever changes he thought might be necessary or that he would like to see. We did talk about it, and after talking to him and his suggestion of making the penalty 5%, I thought twice about it, and what it amounts to, we're a municipality. If we don't send them their check on time, it's not because we don't have the money, it's not because we don't want to, and it's because we made an error. We screwed up, we messed up. So I would have to say that I feel as though there shouldn't be a penalty at all. But, big but, they gave us a date that they wanted it paid by. In order to provide an incentive to pay for it by that date, I would suggest a 1% penalty. That's $1,200. So if we miss the date because of some screw-up, then $1,200 is enough of an incentive rather as opposed to $12,000, which is the penalty right now. And I'm talking about a $120,000 bill, is what our average bill is. So that's my thoughts on the penalty. Everything else he put in there was kind of okay. I think everybody got a copy of it, I hope. Anyway. So that's my thoughts on the penalty.
I think the penalty is not altogether. I just have to say that. I'm unhappy about this because, like you said, it is not that we are trying not to pay our bill. We're a municipality. We have the money. If the bill is not paid on time, it was likely a clerical error. And I just think it's, it's not nice. It's not nice, and I'm a little unhappy about it. So I don't.
Yeah, one more thing I'd like to add is, okay, they make the comparison between us, a municipality, and the village resident, that they charge the village resident 10%. And we also charge 10% on it. Then let's not charge 10%. Let's charge 1% to everybody. I mean, it shouldn't be a moneymaker, and it shouldn't be a penalty. If someone doesn't have enough money to pay for their water, whether it's 1% or 10% is not going to give them enough money to pay for the water. Our taxes are 1%. If you don't pay in the first month, it's a 1% penalty. So I have no problem with the 1%.
Yeah, 10% is exorbitant across the board.
For 1 month, I mean,
Yeah,
bam, it's 10%. right off the bat.
1% to me is high, actually. I mean, I would just want the municipality to be made whole. I mean, whatever the taking on our, now, if you're making 3 or 4% a year, great, right?
For the most part, you are not, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you're not
yeah, so
investing
I'd
in
almost
things
take
that show a
the
return.
prevailing rate, divide by 12,
Right.
Yeah,
and what the administrative cost would be, and
it shouldn't be a penalty. It should just be an incentive to pay on time. I mean, that's the way I see it. Penalizing some, now I'm talking outside the municipality, but John Jones didn't pay it on time, and you're going to, because he didn't have the money at the time. So you're going to nail him 10% more when they didn't have the money to begin with? It's just somehow, it should not be the income raiser. It should be incentive to pay on time. No different than our town taxes, our school taxes. They're all 1%.
Or even a flat rate, like when you bounce a check, here's your $20 late fee, something like that.
there's some administrative fees,
Right.
a letter and.
Yeah. So, would you want Justin to revise our 5% to 1%?
Well, that's fine. I have no issue with that. I wrote directly to council for the village. Had a few other suggestions, and the purpose of the amendment, so everyone is aware, is just for clarity, because there was some confusion. I think they were simply seeking clarity. That's the penalty. Thought it was appropriate to have a reduction as well. Having said that, and having heard of all of you, I don't disagree. The only thing, look at your own codes as well, right? Because issues relevant, simply the town.
So let's revise that to 1%. Is that all right with everybody?
I would.
I don't even like that. I'd go zero.
Explain where that's coming from. I don't understand.
I mean, $1,200 is still a lot. That's a lot of money.
So, I mean, just generally speaking, correct discussions, right? But typically, well, I don't know any municipality that doesn't have some type of penalty. When people are picking or choosing, right? Use the supervisor's language, there's an incentive. If you're gonna pay on time and not have a penalty, right? You prioritize that, and these are expenses that all of you do have, right? You're gonna pay that money out, right? And you need to recoup that money. So there is a reason why, for the most part, whether it's taxes, whether it's water, whether it's sewer, even this town about 8 years ago added a slight fee when a certain tax wasn't paid on time. So it is a typical methodology, because otherwise it's not simply people who don't have it, right? They're not going to pay whether it's no penalty, 1%, or 20%. It's people who are sort of picking or choosing, I can wait a little bit on this. Right. And that does have a ripple effect on how you do business. So that's at least the rationale for it. I'm not saying, and I happen to agree, 10% sort of shocked my conscience and seemed exorbitant. But it's not as if there's no good reason to have people pay, right? Otherwise, you've got to re-levy, you send bills out to the county, you get paid a year later, or you get paid, but the county doesn't. So, I mean, there is a rationale for asking people, they are taking the service, having them pay. I do agree with all of you that 10% has really very little rational basis for what you're trying to incentivize.
1%, guys?
All right, I'm
Yeah? Okay. Jim?
Did you receive a response yet?
I did not receive a response. I do imagine it was going to be a point of discussion regardless of the level, right? And the current agreement, right? So this amendment was not changing that percentage. It was restating it, and the supervisor and I spoke, and I think June and I spoke as well, about, it seemed out of whack with best practices. But that's what's in existence at the moment, right? That's in the village code at the moment. That's not something specific to the
If it were to be
town-village
changed, this is the
relationship.
time to change it.
Absolutely, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm just advising you, this is not a new provision that they were sticking in. This is something that, in totality, they were seeking some clarity on, which I agree is appropriate, right? It's vague how the system works, so we're seeking to get a better system in place.
So they could very well say absolutely not.
Yeah,
Right.
You
And
you
then
heard
where-
me
and-
very well.
And where are we? And then where does that leave us? I mean, because the provision is still,
doesn't change anything, actually.
Doesn't change anything, right? You don't have to enter into the amendment.
right.
But again, they were suggesting the amendment, I think, for clarity for everybody's sake, right? They weren't coming at it trying to insert new terms. A mistake did happen, right? A human error or just, right? And so there we're seeking, okay, let's try to clarify this so that doesn't happen again. They didn't increase their penalty, they didn't, right? And so we took that opportunity to say, that seems disproportionate to what you're trying to seek, let's talk. And I do agree with all of you, that's appropriate. But ultimately, right, we might not get to an agreement on a further amendment.
I love you, right? I mean,
Correct.
Now, Justin, and I'm pretty sure everybody was copied on this amendment, right? And the changes that Justin suggested. So let me just ask for a motion to accept the changes that Justin has made, with the exception making it a 1% penalty.
We're making,
Justin made certain changes to their.
I recommended certain
Yeah,
changes.
well, yeah, recommended. In that we accept the recommendations that he has in there, accepting making it a 1% penalty.
okay.
All right?
I think he just wants me to continue to speak to council, to the village, and see that we can get to an agreement.
And when you talk to her, I have no reason why I can't sit down with the mayor or anyone else that would like to talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. I think probably ultimately a face-to-face would probably be beneficial.
All right, motion to take care of the amendment as.
I made that motion.
You made that motion, second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There's a community development resolution in here, which I've got out of order somehow. That just authorizes us to go in an agreement with Orange County for a second $25,000 grant for next year. And the suggestion from our engineer was that he would put both grants together, this year's and next year's, when he puts it out to bid, and that way he can save the engineering and the bidding process and get everything done under 50,000, or for the $50,000. So I'll ask for a motion to authorize a municipal agreement with Orange County in connection with the Community Development Block Grant Program for 2016, Brooks's Park improvements. And I've mentioned it before, but these improvements are all for ADA, handicap accessibility.
So moved.
By Bill, second by?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Edsel,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gunza,
Aye.
Councilmember Voltaire,
Aye.
Supervisor Lipsy.
Aye. Our first payment is, or second payment on our lease? Second payment on our lease for the police car is due, so we have to take the money from the police car reserve fund. So that's $11,705.80. So this resolution authorizes us to expend from the Police Car Reserve Fund, the amount of $11,705.80. Have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Second by Ty.
Councilmember Edsel,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gonza,
Aye.
Councilmember Voltaire.
Aye. We have a resolution to authorize the settlement of the proceedings under Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law. This is property on 40 Canterbury Road, looking to adjust the assessment. And I think June and Adrian and I are up on this. Justin, if you'd explain to the other two gentlemen.
Certainly, there was a piece of vacant property that was purchased, and the assessed price was significantly above the purchase price. They had an engineering review done, and they indicate that it is, at best, very difficult to build. And so the assessor and I both believe it's appropriate to reduce the assessment. We did not reduce it to the purchase price, and further, the owner of the property waived any refund on the school taxes. They would expect a modest refund on the current 2016 town and county tax, approximately $400. Both believe that it's in line with the other assessments in town for vacant parcels, and particularly for vacant parcels that are not easily buildable.
Questions? I ask for a motion to authorize the settlement of the proceedings under Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law for 40 Canterbury Road.
So moved.
Second by?
Second.
Roll call again, please.
Councilmember Edsel,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gonza,
Aye.
Councilmember Voltaire.
Aye.
Supervisor Leahy.
Aye. We have two vacancies on our planning board. One is vacant, and one is the resignation of John Hunter, right? That I have not received his resignation yet, but he made it formal at the last planning board meeting, unless you've gotten it. Have you gotten it? Okay. So, at any rate, I have a email letter from Jim Ramus, who was asking to be appointed to the town planning board. Honor and pleasure to serve the town of Highlands, the village planning board, and I would welcome the chance to work with the town planning board in not only promoting smart growth and development, but looking for the best interest of all the town residents. I would suggest we give him the position that would be taking John Hunter's place, which would be for the remainder of the year.
We get John's formal resignation, right?
Yeah. Justin, what do you think?
I think you can make the appointment subject to.
All right, so I'll make that motion now.
We have a motion to appoint Jim Ramus to the town planning board for the remainder of John Hunter's term at the salary schedule, and providing that John Hunter gives us a written resignation.
I'll second it.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried.
I have a question. Justin, he verbalized at the meeting that he was resigning.
That's correct.
It's just a matter of he did not put it in writing.
Not to my knowledge, correct, but he did indicate, as you said,
Okay,
verbally.
but because I just don't want to make it subject to a written response if he's too busy or doesn't get around to doing that, and that kind of leaves the appointment hanging out there.
Well, I understand, but technically he needs to, resign in the appropriate manner, and I think the concern is that if you want to have Jim Ramus serve the balance of his term, as opposed to a longer period of time, which I I believe the other seat is approximately 5 years now at this point. So that's the issue. But I'd be happy to write John. I would suspect it's merely an oversight and he got busy.
Ty, do you have any contact with him? Or are you in contact?
I could probably reach out to him and see.
Just a simple email resignation is basically all.
When he's on the train, maybe he can send something.
Again, he thanked everyone for the service. He enjoyed it. It's simply the result of a different job that he's taken and won't frequently be in town during the weekdays. So
And he's a very good member. It's
Absolutely.
sorry to lose him.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you.
The next thing on here is a request for a leave of absence of one of the patrol officers from the town of Highlands PD. I don't have enough information on exactly the circumstances and whether or not the chief is going to recommend or not recommend. So, June?
I spoke to the chief today, and I think that we need a little further discussion, and I'd like to move to table this until our next meeting.
I have a motion to table. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? So carried. Any other business?
Got something. Regarding the boxing, I just wanted to add that over the weekend I ran into Christopher Bingham. He's the class president of the class of 2018 for West Point, and he's also the captain of the boxing team. And he's going to help integrate some of their boxers in our program to work with the kids on Thursdays.
Great.
Awesome. Good
Thanks.
job.
Very nice. On board, have anything extra? Anything more? Public comment? Oh, Mr. Malarkey left, okay. Anybody else? Public comment? No? Yes? No? Okay, now make a motion to go into executive session briefly to discuss a personnel problem. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. We will not come into a regular session afterwards.